I have been teaching for a long time, and in doing so have acquired a body of knowledge about kids and learning that I really wish more people would understand about the potential of students. In 1931, my grandmother, bottom left for you guys over here, graduated from the 8th grade. She went to school to get the information because that's where the information lived. It was in the books, it was inside the teacher's head, and she needed to go there to get the information because that's how you learned. Fast forward a generation, this is the one-room schoolhouse, Oak Grove, where my father went to a one-room schoolhouse, and he again had to travel to the school to get the information from the teacher, stored in the only portable memory he has, which is inside his own head, and take it with him, because that is how information was being transported from teacher to student and then used in the world. When I was a kid, we had a set of encyclopedias at my house. It was purchased the year I was born, and it was extraordinary because I did not have to wait to go to the library to get to the information. The information was inside my house, and it was awesome. This was different than either generation had experienced before, and it changed the way I interacted with information, even at just a small level, but the information was closer to me. I could get access to it. In the time that passes between when I was a kid in high school and when I started teaching, we really see the advent of the internet. Right about the time that the internet gets going as an educational tool, I take off from Wisconsin and move to Kansas, small town Kansas, where I had an opportunity to teach in a lovely small town, rural Kansas school district, where I was teaching my favorite subject, American government. My first year, super gung-ho, gonna teach American government, loved the political system. Kids in the 12th grade, not exactly all that enthusiastic about the American government system. Year 2, learned a few things, had to change my tactic, and I put in front of them an authentic experience that allowed them to learn for themselves. I didn't tell them what to do or how to do it. I posed a problem in front of them, which was to put on an election form for their own community. They produced flyers, they called offices, they checked schedules, they were meeting with secretaries, they produced an election form booklet for the entire town to learn more about their candidates. They invited everyone into the school for an evening of conversation about government and politics and, you know, whether or not the streets were done well, and really have this robust experiential learning. The older teachers, more experienced, looked at me and went, "Oh, there she is. That's so cute. She's trying to get that done. She doesn't know what she's in for." But I knew that the kids would show up, and I believed it, and I told them every week what I expected out of them. And that night, all 90 kids, dressed appropriately, doing their job, owning it. I had to just sit and watch. It was theirs. It was experiential. It was authentic. It meant something to them, and they will step up. Fast forward to Pennsylvania, where I find myself today. I teach at the Science Leadership Academy, which is a partnership school between the Franklin Institute and the School District of Philadelphia. We are a 9 through 12 public school, but we do school quite differently. I moved there primarily to be part of a learning environment that validated the way that I knew that kids learned, and that really wanted to investigate what was possible when you were willing to kind of let go of some of the paradigms of the past, of information scarcity, when my grandmother was in school and when my father was in school, and even when I was in school, into a moment where we have information surplus. And so what do you do when the information is all around you? Why do you have kids come to school if they no longer have to come there to get the information? In Pennsylvania, we have, in Philadelphia, we have a one-to-one laptop program. So the kids are bringing in laptops with them every day, taking them home, getting access to information. And here's the thing that you need to get comfortable with when you've given the tool to acquire information to students, is that you have to be comfortable with this idea of allowing kids to fail as part of the learning process. We deal right now in the educational landscape with just an infatuation with the culture of one right answer that can be properly bubbled on the average multiple choice test. And I am here to share with you, it is not learning. That is the absolute wrong thing to ask. To tell kids to never be wrong, to ask them to always have the right answer, doesn't allow them to learn. Because learning has to include an amount of failure, because failure is instructional in the process. There are a million pictures that I could click through here and had to choose carefully. This is one of my favorites, of students learning, of what learning can look like in a landscape where we let go of the idea that kids have to come to school to get the information, but instead ask them what they can do with it. Ask them really interesting questions. They will not disappoint. Ask them to go to places, to see things for themselves, to actually experience the learning, to play, to inquire. This is one of my favorite photos because this was taken on Tuesday when I asked the students to go to the polls. This is Robbie, and this was his first day of voting. And he wanted to share that with everybody and do that. But this is learning too, because we asked them to go out into real spaces. The main point is that if we continue to look at education as if it's about coming to school to get the information and not about experiential learning, empowering student voice, and embracing failure, we're missing the mark. And everything that everybody is talking about today isn't possible if we keep having an educational system that does not value these qualities, because we won't get there with a standardized test and we won't get there with a culture of one right answer. We know how to do this better, and it's time to do better.